Hey, small group leaders and hosts. Hope you guys are doing well. This will be our last video for 2014, 2015. A few important items I need to go over, and so make sure you watch the whole thing. It's not a long one, but watch the whole thing. First thing is baptism. Huge push. We're in a bit of a campaign right now for the last 3 weeks, and a lot of people. There's a buzz about getting baptized, and I think it's been great information as far as I know people have been asking for scriptures as far as what does baptism mean and digging into the Bible. A lot of people want to commit, but what we've noticed is nobody's really signed on the dotted line. So this is where we need your help. Right now, we're making phone calls during the week. We're doing a lot of follow-up from people that have signed up on the weekends. We've also heard that in small groups, people have talked about being interested, but necessarily haven't signed up. I have someone in my small group that has been a Christian for a while and is just a little nervous, a little unsure. And so I've been walking with her on just giving her Bible passages and just kind of slowly encouraging. We don't want to force anybody, but we do want there to be a sense of no matter how we feel, this is a big deal to God. And we want to encourage as much as we can. So this is where we need your help. By this Sunday, on Mother's Day, we need to pretty much know who is going to get baptized or who's at least interested. We need those names so that we can do the follow-up, and we have a whole week to do the follow-up and plan our service. So if you know someone is either interested, which means they're 50-50, or they're 100% they're in but they haven't signed up, rather than even asking them to sign up, can you write down people's names and then email them to either myself or Katie? We would appreciate that. If you could do that this week, make that an intentional announcement too, as far as who in this group is 50-50, who's thinking about it or is committed but hasn't signed up yet. Either that or encourage them right there during the announcements to get on their mobile device or on a computer and sign up online. So that is an option, but we would like those names to follow up with. So if you can make that a big deal this week and let them know that by this Sunday, we really need to know who's in, that's important for us. So we'd appreciate that. The other thing is we have 3 more weeks of small groups. So we're getting down to the countdown. Now, our last night is usually a special night and something a little bit different. With that in mind, we don't want to surprise people. Sometimes we come up with cool questions and it's on the spot for people. How have you grown the most this last year? And if people haven't had time to think about it, we can get no answers or what we might consider lame answers. And I know there's no lame answers, but you know what I mean. And it's really on us because we didn't tell people in advance. So here's what I'm encouraging you to do is whatever you want to do for your last night, try to get it out to your group next week as far as questions they need to be thinking about, or if you're going to do some creative things. I know for our small group, we're really going to go over just a couple questions on our last night, and then we're going to split, we're going to pray together, we're going to game plan the summer as far as how can we successfully stay spiritually connected to God and each other. We can't continue small groups, but can we continue texts? Can we do different things? And then we're actually doing a barbecue on Memorial Weekend and going to do it on Sunday. And so maybe plan one fun event in the next few weeks, things like that. Here's a few questions to think through the last night. Actually, one's not a question. You might want to do something that sounds cheesy. Youth groups do it, but it works really well. And that's have someone with a piece of paper, have them on make their own card. And I know even for guys, like that sounds lame. They can make a guy card. It can be really manly or whatever they want. But just do something that has kind of how they would describe themselves or a card that represents them. Have them write something on the front with their name on it and then pass it around and just have people write notes about what they appreciate about them. So that's one idea, and that's worked really well. Sometimes people like to do that in a split group because men and women, they don't want to maybe share a lot of encouraging words to each other if they're not married to them. So maybe you do that with men and women, but have something that they can have in their hands that's just encouraging, they can look at, and so they can see how they've impacted people in the group. A question I'm going to be talking to my group about is how have you grown in either your faith in God or your faithfulness to God? So using those kind of words, how have you grown stronger in trusting God in certain areas of your life? How have you seen yourself just become more faithful over the last 7, 8, 9 months in areas where you didn't trust them before and you're trusting to a greater extent? You're following them at a greater level, or there's just a greater connection. You're listening at a higher level and connecting with them more. So think through these last 9 months. The other thing is I'm going to challenge the small group to jump into summer classes. And just so you know, our summer calendar is going to be coming out in a couple weeks, so it'll be available. We'll have a brochure. It'll be available to you your last week of small group. Grab enough brochures. Make sure you have enough for your small group, or encourage people to bring it. It'll be there on the weekends. And go through the summer classes and encourage people to circle some, sign up, use that small group night. Don't just stay home now. Continue to use the babysitter, continue to get out, continue to grow. We're going to have several different classes, a lot of different options. So use our summer calendar to also encourage people to stay involved and to get plugged in. Last thing I want to do is just to go over with you your intersect questions. Steve did a great job this weekend just talking about when there's a lot of difficulty, and difficulty in ways where you feel like everyone else is succeeding and you're not, or people that are being blessed by God and yet they're not following God, and how difficult that can be. So the homework is really straightforward. I would just want to highlight a few things in the verses and then at the very end. And so when it comes to the first question, and as far as number 3, reading Psalm 73, where he says, describe what he's feeling and thinking. What you might want to do is describe how David is thinking or how he's feeling, and then also attach that to when have you thought this way or felt this way too in your walk with God. And so try to bridge that gap as far as maybe where they felt like that in life, whether it's now or maybe in the past. And then at the very end of Psalm 73, Steve says, what conclusions does David come to? And one of the questions I thought for that, a follow-up question could be, how does or should these conclusions impact my life? So when you read Psalm 73 and the conclusion that God holds my right hand, knowing that God is holding hands with you, he's walking with you, and obviously it's not a literal holding hands, but there's a sense of God is absolutely by your side with you. How should that impact your life? How should that impact your stress level, your anger, your frustration, knowing God is with you? And so walk through those verses and talk about, hey, these conclusions, what should it do to our hearts and minds as we go through life when we wake up the next day, knowing that God is our shelter, knowing that that we're going to live forever with him. And so walk the group through that. The only other thing I had is in the decide and do, Steve talks about what points really could you intentionally apply. And I want to go over one of the points, which is where Steve talked about that to be someone's hero and how important that is through these trials. That the literal point is, be someone's hero is point number 5. And here's what I'd like you to do possibly in that. Maybe this is in your split time, is talk about whose hero are you? Who's hero at work? Who looks up to you, basically? And I know that word hero could be intimidating, but who are you mentoring? Whether you like it or not. Our kids? Is it someone in our family? Is it someone at church? And what kind of example are we leading through stressful times? And when we're under a lot of stress, I think that's when we can shine the brightest to other people. How they notice just what kind of peace we have. Do we pray in the midst of being stressed? Do we get angry easily with other people, or do we show great patience and kindness? And so people are watching, getting people to realize that and thinking that through. What kind of example are we setting, and what kind of example do we want to set? And maybe that can help us kind of step up and grow when it comes through going through difficult times. So hopefully this is helpful. Thank you for watching, you guys. Appreciate you so much. You're going to get a few more emails, but this is our last video. And just, again, just appreciate how you guys have ended this year. It's just been a great year for us. Our attendance has stayed really strong. We've added a new small group, which we've never done. So just a lot to celebrate, a lot to be thankful for. So hope, again, you have a great week. Take care.